Are you tired of not being excited about your life and the person that you are? Are you ready to begin living a more purposeful life, a more authentic life, to step into your true potential and create the life you deserve and desire? If so, check out my all new 10-week Dare to Be You Life Transformation online wellness course. This course will guide you towards living more authentically, more purposefully, and with more joy and passion. You'll also learn the steps for creating your ideal life and how to become the person you were truly meant to be. Register now and hurry because spots are limited to 8 participants only. And as part of this special promotion, I'm offering a one-time beta test price at 90% off the regular course value. For more information and to register, click on the link in the show notes. Get signed up now. How do you get back up when life knocks you down and go on to turn your life completely around, including overcoming divorce and weight loss struggles? In today's episode, we hear the inspiring story of Raeshelle Sharpnack, who managed to do just that. How did she do it? And what can we learn from listening to her story? Whether it is triumph, heartache, or weight loss struggles, her story has it all. And yet, through it all, she found an important thing: herself. Listen now to be inspired and learn what she did to turn it all around and how you can apply some of what she did to your life.
All right, welcome to another episode, everyone, of the Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream podcast. Today with me, I have Raeshelle Sharpnack coming to us from my current city, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Raeshelle, thanks so much for being here. How are you doing today?
Doing good, doing great. How about yourself?
Doing good. It's good to see you again. We were chatting a little blah, blah, I can't talk this morning off camera a little bit, and I like to find people that have inspiring stories that have, I like to say, defied the odds and set a new standard for their life. And I met you a while back, and you are one of those people. And so I know you've been on a journey, and so we're going to go back a few years or however many years it was. You were 50 pounds overweight and in a different place in your life, mentally, spiritually, physically, all of that than you are nowadays. So let's go back to that time and kind of describe what was going on, what led to the being overweight, and then take us through that journey, how you lost the weight and how you've been able to keep it off and just basically set a new standard and redefine your life and how we can learn from your journey and everything. So I've talked a lot. I'll let you have it and turn it over to you.
So, of course, I was always I was athletic. I was a figure skater, did ballet, played basketball, played soccer. I had a brother that was a Division I tennis player. So, of course, sports was a big part of our life. So I was always active, but I was always kind of a chunky kid. I mean, I was not real tall. I tried tennis with my brother. That didn't really work out. So then I played soccer because that's what girls could do back in the 80s.
Right, yeah.
And of course, I grew up in Canada, so I grew up learning to skate on the ice on the lakes. Because again, what else do you do when it's cold outside? You go outside and skate on the lakes.
Mhm.
So I found figure skating, and so that kind of became my sport of choice. I did love basketball. I did do a lot of basketball camps. Played freshman year for my high school team. Again, didn't grow very much. 5'1". That was my cap. But as a figure skater, that was the perfect height to do ice shows, because in ice shows you have you're in costume. Sometimes you're I skated like in different Disney on Ice. I was in Alice in Wonderland. I was the perfect height to be the piece of cake, because you all need to be the right size to make the cake come together. So I figure skated, which was great conditioning, great athleticism, and then you did off ice conditioning. And as part of my training for figure skating, I did ballet, which I was a little awkward, a little clumsy. I actually did grow up with a lot of learning challenges like attention deficit, dyslexia, some auditory processing. These are all things they didn't know about in the 80s. So I was just kind of an awkward person, but I was very energetic and I was very much like ready to try anything. So as a figure skater, I put a lot into my. I trained pretty much almost every day. If I wasn't in the rink skating, of course, I went to school, and I roller skated as well, because that was another thing good Canadians do when it's too cold outside, is you go inside and roller skate. So a lot of good muscle memory. I also, again, always had a little bit of a weight issue, was always a little chunky, emotional eater. Food kind of fed me. I had a mother that was very fat shaming. Bless her heart, may
Oh,
she rest in peace. Even a father who was a little fat shaming. He everyone meant well. It was always, I just don't want you to be like me, because my mother was like Oprah. Her weight went up and down, literally.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
So
grew up with it. So was there a little bit of like genetic predisposition there, maybe?
we have a very fluffy family. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
we're,
you were dealing with
we're
some genetic
yeah.
and
Genetics did,
environmental
yeah.
factors then also. Okay.
And then the emotional eating, because when you're that like person that turns to food, like when I was at skating camps all summer, I would eat. I don't know if I missed home or I just, because you're skating all day and you're conditioning, you're working out, but again, you're a teenager, so you don't know healthy. You just eat, and it wasn't always good stuff. It was candy bars and cookies. um I was at the point where I could eat a whole box of cookies, because I would just get depressed, and that would just be my comfort. Of course, my weight would go up and down, which is very unhealthy. And again, my mom was always putting me in Weight Watchers. She was always putting me on diets.
Let me jump in, Raeshelle. At what stage then did you find yourself 50 pounds overweight and you said, no more, enough is enough. I've got to take my life back, get the weight off and get in shape and start to get healthy again. What was that, 2 years ago, 10 years ago? And
So
like,
that was in two. Well, that would have been in 2008. I
okay.
went to my doctor for my wellness check, and he said, very, doctorally, you really need to lose weight. Like, it's really affecting your health. I was 5'1" when I gave birth to my son. I was 201 pounds.
Mm.
Managed to lose a little bit of that weight. I did always work out. Like, I did work out, but I wasn't eating healthy, and I didn't understand the whole concept. So probably about 2008ish, the doctor said, you need to lose weight. I'm like, and of course I sat there in his office for a second, and I thought, well, how do I do that? Because I'd been on diets my whole life. That was the problem. It wasn't a lifestyle change. It was just diets. So I was reading the paper one day, and I saw this ad for this a medical spa, and it was called the HCG, and it was a supervised doctor dietitian weight loss program. And I thought, okay. So I called the place, and I was familiar with where it was, and I made an appointment. Turns out the dietitian and I had worked together in a previous profession. She had gone back to school to be a dietitian, so we knew each other. It was like, okay, hey, talk about, divine appointment, so to speak. And so it was so we already knew each other. So that was kind of cool. So she told me about the program, and I was a little hesitant, but I was like, okay, I have to lose weight. And this sounds like a good way, because I've got a doctor and a dietitian, and what better people to be on my team. So the program started off with a detox. So for a certain amount of time, you were to only eat certain foods, which again, I was a little combative, a little like hesitant, like, I don't know if I can do this. And of course I did the program. I was off sugar and dairy and wheat and all the things that, the ones that when you're trying to lose weight, you want to get your system clean. So again, seeing the doctor every week, seeing the dietitian, having someone to talk to, journaling. We had to keep a journal of what we ate. So the first part of the program was the detox. And I lost about 5 pounds. I was pretty excited, still kind of going, okay, big deal, 5 pounds. And then that kind of jump started my metabolism or my body. And then, so the HCG, a lot of people question it. They're not really sure how effective it is, but it's a 500-calorie diet with injections. So part of the injections is you get the calories that you would normally be eating. But the other part of the program was learning how to eat healthy, like actually making good choices. Everyone thinks fat is bad for you. Well, no, not all fat is bad for you. Everyone thinks that you should avoid carbs because carbs are bad for you. No, not all carbs are bad for you. So a lot of the myths that I had grown up with, I had learned to change that thinking. And the dietitian was very knowledgeable, but very stern, because as I started to lose the weight, I still saw a big girl. And I'd come in to see her with my clothes hanging off my body. And she's like, look in the mirror. And I thought, because I felt like I was getting frustrated, because you could only eat certain foods. You gave yourself injections, which again, people were questioning, but it was supervised. I had full blood work done. The doctor said I was healthy enough to do it, and I was losing the weight. So within 6 months, I was losing the weight safely. And of course, I was like in shock, because I had been, a size 14, in some cases up to almost a 20, and I dropped down to a size 4. which never in my life. Like when I went after the program, because when my clothes were hanging off, she's like, you need to get some new clothes. Because I remember prior to having my first son in 2000, I couldn't fit any of my clothes. I literally gave away my closet because I was so depressed, and I was a 6 to an 8, and I thought I'll never come back to this size again. So I gave away all my clothes, and I really literally had an empty closet. And then when I started losing the weight, I still wore some things that I thought still fit, and because I all big stuff because I couldn't fit into my I couldn't fit into anything.
So
And I
was it
went
this
shopping.
was it this program you were on that allowed you to
Yes,
lose the 40, 50
yes,
pounds then?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, so yes, it was a medical day spa that I went to, and yes, so this was my miracle program basically. But again, it wasn't just about a diet, because like the dietitian, also after your program you do maintenance, because she teaches you how to eat, because a lot of people on this program go back and gain the weight back because they think.
How did you not gain the weight back? How did you like learn to eat or whatever then? Like what was your secret to not gaining it back?
So I started going to the gym and working out. I started going to Zumba classes. I started going to just about anything I could do. I thought, well, if I start exercise, because she was encouraging exercise, but she also taught me how to read labels. She taught me, like, again, not looking so much at the fat. Like a lot of people go for low fat food, but they don't realize what else is into it. Sometimes it's better to have the real thing. So she taught me how to read labels. Again, I kept my journal. I had to come for maintenance. And so after they kind of dismiss you from the program, that's when I started going to the gym and exercising. So while I'm exercising at the gym, I throw myself into that, and I still am really cautious about my eating. I kept a journal this whole time with my weight, what I ate. So I was very dedicated. It was work. It was difficult. There was times I was hungry. There was family events that I went to that I couldn't eat the foods I would normally eat while I was on the program. But of course, now once I got off the program, I went to family events and was able to eat like a healthy amount of sweets and things that I like. My weakness is sweets and chocolate. And I was able to do that without gaining a lot of weight, because again, I learned moderation. I learned how to regulate my emotions and not use food to feed my emotions. So working out became my new thing. So when I would get upset or stressed, I'd run, I would go to the gym. And so I worked out pretty consistently at a gym. And so one Friday, it was a Friday afternoon, I was in the gym, actually, I think working out, and an instructor didn't show up for a class. And a couple are like, that girl over there comes here a lot, works out. I bet you she could get up there and lead our class for us. And I'm thinking, me? Like, I was the big fat girl at the back of the room that could hardly catch her breath. And, of course, again, in my head, I'm still having to work through that. I'm not that big girl anymore. So they asked me, and they called the head of the fitness program, which I knew her because, again, I came to the gym a lot because that was my new fix as opposed to food. And she's like, oh yeah, she'd probably be good. Cause again, I came to all the classes. So I put on some music and I got up there and I did a Zumba class or some kind of cardio dance. And all the members ran to the desk after, we want her again. We want to go to her class again. So they called me and said, we want to hire you as a fitness instructor. And
Wow.
I'm like, but I don't have any like certification. They're like, well, we could start you out and you could go work on a certification. So here I am, still in my head, I'm this big girl, because I'd go to the gym and I'd go work out and I'd leave the class feeling defeated and frustrated because I was big and fat and couldn't hardly breathe. And I'd get through the class and I'd feel like, well, I didn't do anything, because again, I was still in that negative pattern. So
let me pop in here, Raeshelle, and ask you this. So when you were on your journey and you started exercising, going to the gym every day, what was your discipline? What was your motivation? Because most people will do that and quit after a couple of weeks, but what was it that kept you going that we can learn from your journey?
I think it was the before picture that I kept of seeing me, because I remember the picture that really, besides the doctor talking to me, my son was 3, and in our faith we do a haircut ceremony, and in the picture I looked huge, and I was like, oh, it's just a bad angle, and that's just a bad shirt. That was just not a good flattering outfit for me. So that's when I saw that picture, and I kept that picture, and I realized, no, it wasn't the bad outfit, it was the fact that I was extremely overweight. And so I kind of used that as my, like, I don't want to go there again. And besides, I felt better. Like I've had a history of asthma, and it's hard to breathe when you've got excess weight, especially at my height. A lot of people didn't realize how overweight I was until I lost my weight. And it was kind of that motivation of, I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel healthy. I want to feel strong. And again, having a fat shame mom, of course, she still, was sucking your stomach. Like, we went shopping for bathing suits. She's like, I said, Mom, that's my ribs. I can't suck that in. It's like, Mom, I've just lost 50 pounds. Like, what else do you want me to? I mean, it was still a challenge with her, because she was really pleased. She also did the program with me, but wasn't she kind of go off and on. So
How did you deal with that challenging environment of your mom and for lack of a better word, like not as much support as you would have liked to have had? How did you overcome that? Because there's a lot of people out there listening to this right now that are in the same situation. They don't have that supportive environment. You were able to overcome that. What tips would you give anyone for overcoming a situation where you don't have the support necessarily that you need?
I think it comes from loving yourself and doing that. You do this for you. And that's why just like with any addiction, to me, food is just like any other addiction, like alcohol or drugs. You have to want it. You have to be the one. And if you're not the one, you're going to fall back. So a lot of people did gain weight with this program, but it's because they wanted a quick fix or they were doing it for someone else. I did it for me. And it was for my journey. It was for my health, not for anybody else's. And I think that's what kept me going, is the fact that, again, I felt better. And I didn't have a fear of food. I didn't use food for my emotions. It was like, I think I felt better about myself. My self-worth was better, my self-esteem. And I knew that this is what I need for me, and that, forget the other voices. Of course I was respectful. I tried to be positive because my mom, again, had her own weight loss issues. So I know it was frustrating for her. And and a lot of people said to me, what did you do? Like, I got a lot of very negative, people were very like strange. Like, what did you do? Like, was it legal? Like, what, like doing something like some kind of illegal drug. And I was really confused. And even people kept saying to me, oh, I see you've kept your weight off. Like, as if they were expecting me to fail. And I've always been that person that if you want to challenge me like that, it's on. Like, if you think I'm going to fail, I'm not. And so here I am. Like I said, this was in 2009. We're in 2023. And yes, I still fit into my size 4 Calvin Klein jeans.
So let me jump in again. So yeah, it is 2023. So this was 13. Your journey started about the same time mine did, 2008, 2009. Yeah, I was also 50 pounds overweight. But so jump ahead 13, 14 years to 2023, where we are now. What's been the driving factor that has allowed you to keep the weight off, that has kept you motivated going to the gym all these years? Because you're an exercise fitness instructor pretty much every day now. So you work out sometimes two times a day. So what has kept you going all these years, and what has allowed the weight to stay off all these years for you?
And of course, my mother was, even though she was how she was, she's my best friend. She's been gone now probably about 7 years. And I kind of look at her as my why, because when I saw, and she died of a very like rare, debilitating illness. So I saw her, basically deteriorate. She also struggled with disorder when she was a teenager, which I didn't know about, but it started to surface again when she got sick. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to be in the hospital being forced to put little weights in my hands, being forced to squat, being forced to do things to keep me going in life. I wanted to be healthy and get out of life what I could. And I also wanted to be able to be healthy and strong, and hopefully live past 74, which is the age she passed away at, and be able to be strong and healthy for my own 2 boys. And it developed a big passion in me for other people. So I guess part of my why is my clients that I train, or my clients that come to my classes, because as much as I get it's hard to get up early in the morning. I teach 5 days a week. I teach Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. I teach Tuesday and Thursday at 5:45 a.m. I do a virtual class with my high school kids on Monday, a virtual yoga class on Friday. So essentially I work, and then I teach Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock. So pretty much 5 days a week. But the people that come to my classes, they are my why. They're telling me I've lost 20 pounds, I've lost inches, I was pre-diabetic, I went to my doctor, my blood sugar is normal, I had weak wrists, now my wrists are strong. Just all kinds of stories that I didn't even really realize why they were coming to my class. And one of my classes is literally 38 minutes from my house. People are like, why do you drive that far? It's like, because the ladies that come, they show up. Like, I've had class on Christmas morning. We do a special Christmas class. They come. We do a New Year's Eve dance party. They come. We do like different themes. Memorial Day, they show up.
That's
So
dedication. So what would the Raeshelle today say to the Raeshelle 13 years ago, or what would you say to the woman or man listening to this right now, 2023, that is exactly where you were 13, 14 years ago? That's where they are now in their life. What would you tell that person or your former self?
I would probably just say take a deep breath. Let's take a look at the situation. Let's look at how bad do we want this? How important is it for us to be healthy? And of course, keep yourself kind of like, I mean, I'm big into sports. I love sports. I love football. I love basketball. And I was also a coach. So as a coach, you got to talk yourself up, pump yourself up, because it's easy to get discouraged. So before you start your journey, you have to say to yourself, we got this, and we want this, and we're going to do this. And
Mm.
again, the factor is health. It's not about getting skinny. It's not about looking cute or getting buff. It's about being healthy and having a better quality of life. And asking yourself, do I want a better quality of life? Because anyone that's really morbidly overweight or even slightly overweight knows that there's a difference. It's hard to walk. I mean, just going on vacation, you can't walk as far. You can't go as far. You can't do stuff with your kids. You can't do stuff with your furry friends. It affects your everyday life. You're sick a lot more. So just thinking to yourself, what can I do this for me? What can I do for me? And a lot of people say, well, it's expensive. I don't have the time. And I hear all those quote excuses. And again, myself, yes, at the time I was married. I had 2 kids. I was actually married to a personal trainer who criticized the program I was on and didn't even like praise me for my progress. Just said, you cheated. That's not the way to lose weight. And I mean, again, not having that support was very
Yeah.
challenging.
And you were
But
and you
again,
were able to overcome all that. So,
so
you
I just, yeah, didn't listen to the negative voices. You have to learn how to flip the switch.
how did you flip the switch?
I just saw my results, and I just kept moving forward. I've always been that person, because again, growing up with learning disabilities, learning challenges, I was always told you can't, you can't, you can't. So that kind of fueled me to say, I'll show you, I'll show you, I'll show you. So I think it was more of an inner drive from all the challenges I've experienced in my life, I think that spilled over into my health. So that's where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And again, you have to know you're worthy and worth it. I'm really, really big on professional counseling. My main profession is a counselor, but just because that to me, sometimes you need to work through some issues from your childhood, issues from like there's things that are going to stop you from losing your weight. And if you can get those barriers broken or speaking to someone before, that's going to help a lot. And it's definitely not a weakness to ask for help. It's a strength. And again, that's probably what I tell myself is let's get in some counseling. Let's figure out why we're emotionally eating. Let's figure out why we're eating a
Yeah.
whole cookies.
Yeah.
Let's figure out why we're doing that. So then moving forward, we're not having to go back and forth.
Yeah, anyone listening, and if you're listening on audio, you can't see me smiling right now, but there's a couple things that Raeshelle and I have in common that I think everybody needs to understand if you're on this journey. One, it is about me or you. It's not about anyone else. It is about you. And when Raeshelle understood that, when I understood that, that was key to finally getting healthy and losing weight and keeping it off. And then the second thing is, yeah, you have to focus on being healthy, being strong and healthy, not about being skinny, not about the body shape or anything like that. It's about being healthy. When I started focusing on that, that made all the difference. And then the third thing you just said, Raeshelle, it's the flip the switch, the mindset, overcoming the stories that you're telling yourself. And every weight loss coach I've talked to, it's that's the key. It's the stories and reprogramming your mind. And Raeshelle, you've done an outstanding job with that. You're a shining example of what a woman can do in spite of the odds, overcoming very difficult circumstances and a lack of supportive environment around you. Raeshelle, we're starting to run out of time here, and you said quite a bit already, but I always like to say, is there anything else you would like to add to the conversation today that you haven't said already? Something, tips, advice, anything else for the good of the order?
Just basically know you can do it. Anyone can do it. And it may be a difficult journey, but if it was easy, everyone would do it. So just don't give up. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to find yourself going back to your old habits. But once you get over that hurdle and you start seeing the results, you'll start feeling that change in your mindset. So remember, always think of that. Flip the switch, flip the switch.
And for anyone
Absolutely.
wanting to reach out to Raeshelle, she's got a Facebook page, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes here. But Raeshelle, thank you so much for being here. This has been enlightening for me. I love talking with inspiring people like you from all over the world. You just happen to be in the same city as me. I think you're the first one I've done that's been in the same city, so that's kind of neat. No, actually, last year I did one other person. That's right. So you're the second one. You're the second one. But anyway, for anyone listening, I would super appreciate it if you like this episode, if you would share this as far and wide as possible. Again, we want to support as many people on their journey as we can. So please share this episode. And wherever you listen to podcasts, please be sure and hit that subscribe button and leave me a 5-star review. I would also super appreciate that. So, Raeshelle, thanks so much again for being here. And to all the listeners, definitely appreciate you being here. This is Coach Brad. Until next time, I always say at the end, be well, be safe, be happy, eat ice cream. We'll talk about the ice cream another time, Raeshelle. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.